As you might have noticed in your programs, air is spelled H-E-I-R, murders in the air. Get it?
Yeah.
Yes. Well, as I was saying, I was very flattered when Mr. St. John contacted me and asked me to direct his play's premiere production. Actually, it was a work in progress, and he made changes and rewrites throughout the rehearsal period. Well, it was very flattering to be a part of creating a brand new work. To tell the truth, it put quite a strain on me, playwright, and the cast.
You got that right.
Hush, Brock! Actors should be unseen and unheard until the curtain opens. Sorry about that. The fact is, the cast and I are a little nervous about tonight's show because, well, it's not quite finished. Oh, don't worry, we're going to go on. The show must go on, as someone once said. I don't know who said it, but I'd love to get my hands around his neck. Anyways, as I was saying, the show isn't quite finished. You see, it's a murder mystery, and most of the characters have great motives to kill. Well, you'll see who. The thing is, Mr. St. John couldn't make up his mind which character should be the killer. In fact, he wrote several different endings in which various suspects were revealed to have been the murderer. We performed them all for him, and he still couldn't decide. As it got closer and closer to opening night, the tension in the air, that's A-I-R, grew so thick you could cut it with a knife. It got so bad that Mr. St. John had what I feel sure will prove to be a temporary breakdown. The reason he's not here with us tonight is because he's presently under heavy sedation in a very nice place, surrounded by soft walls with lots of padding. Some people have all the luck. The cast and crew and I are here, though, and we are determined to provide an entertaining show for you, even if it kills us. That's just a figure of speech, of course. Now, this brings me to the main point of my being up here, to announce that you are going to have to help us. If you'll look in your programs, you'll notice we've added a QR code for a Google form, a ballot of sorts. As you watch the first act, you'll discover which characters have the motive to murder someone, a person who will indeed be dead by the time the act ends. First thing during intermission, we need you to scan the QR code and fill out the form to let us know which suspect you think is most likely to be the murderer. If you'd prefer a paper ballot, we will have them available in the lobby. Make sure to finish the form or submit the ballot by the time intermission ends. We'll tally them quickly, and for the second act, the cast will perform the scene Mr. St. John wrote that has the character the majority of you chose as the killer. Or at least that's what we hope will happen. It got very confusing during rehearsals.
It's a wonder we didn't kill the playwright.
Quiet! Well, look, we might as well get started. I saved myself a seat there in the front row where I can follow the script and maybe help out if things get a little shaky, which they won't, but just in case. Are you ready, cast?
As ready as we're gonna be.
Then, let's do this. Places. Lights.
Nancy, please! You know Mr. Starkweather is resting just through that doorway. You mustn't startle him.
I'm sorry, Miss Withers, but you startled me.
My apologies, but I dare say a slight scare will do you no harm. However, a sudden shock to a man in his 90s in Mr. Starkweather's medical condition can prove fatal. Remember that, girl!
Yes, ma'am. I guess this terrible storm has made me a little edgy.
Yes. It is a tempestuous evening. I I presume all of the guests have been shown to their rooms?
Yes, Miss Withers. Well, all but Mr. Starkweather's grandson, Mr. Simon III. It's a long drive from his college and the storm. You know.
I do hope we can start without him. It's already past Mr. Starkweather's bedtime, and he must have his sleep.
I assure you, Miss Withers, the room's spotlessly clean.
I certainly hope so. Mr. Starkweather's asthmatic condition makes the merest mote of dust potentially lethal.
Well, I served as Mr. Starkweather's housekeeper for many years before you came here, Miss Withers. I don't need you to tell me how to do my job. You brought the coffee?
It's right here on the table, Mr. Trent.
We go back to the kitchen and help Minerva with the rest of the refreshments.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Starkweather wishes to have everyone present in the drawing room at 8 o'clock sharp. I'll ask Bensonhurst to fetch the guests from their rooms.
Mr. Starkweather will be ready. I'm coming, Mr. Starkweather.
Well, I done got all the cars parked in the garages like you told me.
As I told you. Oh, why waste my breath? You're dripping water all over the foyer. Why did you enter through the front doors, Rufus? I have told you a million times. Servants never enter through the front doors.
Oh, well, I reckon I forgot, Mr. Bensonhurst. And besides, it's raining out there.
I am aware of that. It now looks as if it has been raining in here as well. Thanks to you.
Well, you're welcome.
Go back the way you came and maneuver yourself around to the back door. I think you can manage that.
Well, I don't know. But I suppose we're gonna find out.
When the final guest, young Mr. Simon, arrives, I shall summon you so that you can park his car for him.
Oh, good. And while I'm waiting, I'll sit by the fire, see if I can grow gills.
Don't be impertinent.
How can I be if I don't know what it means?
Just do as I'm told. Go to the kitchen and wait there until I call for you. Not that way. Have you already forgotten I told you to use the back door?
Nope, but I was hoping you had.
That man is an idiot.
Well, I heard that.
Where do you want me to put this one, Minerva?
On the coffee table. Careful with it.
Yes, ma'am. I think everything is ready.
You think wrong. Place the cups on the saucers so all we'll have to do is pour the coffee.
Yes, Minerva.
The others are coming down. Miss Van Zandt has informed me that Mr. Starkweather wishes the staff to be present as well.
He wants the servants here?
Precisely. Even Rufus. Had I been aware of that fact sooner, I would have ordered him to take a bath. He has been out in the rain, working hard, so perhaps that will help.
If you ask me, Noah's flood wouldn't help.
Be that as it may, I shall summon him and Mr. Trent.
Why would Mr. Starkweather want the servants to be here?
I'll pull out my crystal ball and let you know. Do you remember what I told you when you came to work here?
Yes, ma'am. Do as you're told and don't ask questions.
Exactly. Stick to that.
I will, Minerva.
Oh dear, I never know what to wear on special occasions. I suppose Uncle Simon's inviting us here is a special occasion, isn't it, Jordan?
I suppose so, but most of the time you consider it treats us like lepers.
You think Simon treats us like jungle cats?
Ah, leopards, Mom. Leopards. I'll forget it. Don't worry about it. You'll be fine.
Thank you, son.
I'll tell you one thing. If we're ever here at this mausoleum, the first thing we'll do is coffee ass, shall we?
And let them know it's on the market.
Counting chickens, aren't we?
Minerva, we didn't see you. You're attractive young helper there.
Nancy is a nice girl, and I need for her to stay that way.
I'm sure I don't know what you mean.
I doubt that.
I don't understand.
I believe that. Miss Fiona, why don't you have a seat?
I'll bring you a cup of coffee.
Coffee? Oh, that sounds nice. It is a little damp in here.
That's because it's a lot damp out there. How do you take your coffee?
Mother prefers her black. I like my sweet. I'll flavor it myself.
Whatever.
Oh, what lovely hors d'oeuvres. These are delicious.
Glad you like them.
You're looking very pretty tonight, Nancy.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, that makes you feel as old as Grandpa Simon. Call me Jordan.
She'll call you Mr. Starkweather, the way a proper maid should. If anyone else calls you by another name, it'll be me. And you don't want to know which one I'm thinking.
Minerva, you never change.
Neither do you. More's the pity. Now go take a seat next to your mother.
Yes, Drill Sergeant.
My goodness, Kathy. I don't see how y'all can still living out here in the boonies, away from fine restaurants and movies and shopping centers. Why, I'm just so depressed, I have to sit down and weep.
It's not that bad, Paula. I stay here during the week and go to my apartment in town most weekends.
I'm so relieved to hear that.
I work for a large corporation before Mr. Starkweather hired me to be his personal secretary.
And believe me, this position
Is much nicer.
Look what we have here. 2 rays of sunshine to dispel the gloom. You look beautiful, ladies.
I swear, Cousin Jordan, you are a rogue and a charmer.
I do my best. Won't you join us?
Have a seat over there. You'll be safer. We'll bring you some coffee.
Thank you, Minerva. I take my black.
Both kinds have lots of cream and sugar. Sugar. I must admit, I have an enormous sweet tooth.
Maybe that's what causes that point zero accent.
And how are you this evening, Cousin Fiona? What? Oh, I'm very well. Thank you, Paula. That's just peachy. I swear, I don't know why we don't see more of one another. It seems like the only time we get together is for somebody's funeral.
Aren't all funerals for somebody?
Shame on you. Don't be morbid, Cousin Jordan. I'm glad this weekend's an exception to the rule. For once, no one is dead.
So far, anyway.
Oh, that's okay, honey. You didn't spill any.
What did you mean by that remark, Jordan?
Oh, nothing. It's just when you called to tell us that Grandpa Simon wanted Mother and me to come to Starkweather Mansion for the weekend, at first I assumed you were going to say that he had passed on.
You wish.
I started to pack my new black dress.
It was a natural assumption, of course. I mean, he is up in years and in bad health. I was relieved to find out the old boy was still with us, of course.
Kathy, darling, I bet you know why great Uncle Simon has desired our presence this frightful evening. Come on, tell.
Miss Fancy to go into the particulars, but I believe Mr. Starkweather wishes to discuss his will.
Really?
I'd appreciate if you didn't drool on the hors d'oeuvres.
You misjudged me, Minerva. I was surprised, that's all.
Uh-huh.
Where's Cousin Simon? Shouldn't he be here too?
When I contacted him last week, he said he was going to make it. Apparently, he's going to be late. If he's trying to call here tonight, he couldn't get through. The phone lines are down.
Well, if we're going to talk about the will, he should be here. After all, he is great Uncle Simon's only grandchild.
Yeah, probably there.
Excuse me a minute. I hate to interrupt. You guys are doing, you really are. Folks, I suggested to Mr. St. John that these family relationships might be a bit confusing. He agreed and was going to write a scene that explained everything. He was working on it when he, snapped like a rubber band. So I'll just tell you. I think the family trees might be in your programs too. Here's how it works. Simon Starkweather, the old billionaire whom you'll meet shortly, married late in life and produced one son, Simon Jr. Simon Jr. in turn married and produced one heir, Simon III, the college student whose late was gathered. The original Mrs. Starkweather, Simon II, and his wife are now deceased. Old Simon's eldest brother, Paul, had a daughter, Bella, who married Lucian Thompson, an Atlanta businessman, and they had a daughter, Paula. Paul, his wife, Bella, and Lucian are now deceased. Old Simon's younger brother, John, married and produced Ezra, who married Fiona here, and they had a son, Jordan. This is Jordan, but you already know that. Anyways, John, his wife, and Ezra are now deceased. I realize that's a lot of dead people, but if they had been included in the show too, it would look like a marching band had wandered into the living room. It was hard enough moving everyone about the stage as it was. At any rate, old Simon is Fiona's uncle by marriage, and Jordan and Paula's great uncle. That makes Jordan, Paula, and young Simon cousins. Second or third cousins, I guess. I don't really understand how that stuff works. I hope that clears things up for you. Sorry for the interruption. Carry on.
We have the foggiest notion where we are.
I'm not even sure who I am anymore.
Sorry. Resume with Ever and Caitlin's entrance. Leo,
What?
give them their entrance cue.
What is it again?
He'll probably get everything.
Who will?
Your cousin Simon.
Oh, I got it. Yeah, you'll probably get everything.
I'm very pleased with your investigation. I'll be sure to recommend you to other clients.
Just doing my job, Miss Van Zandt.
Good evening, everyone.
I know we haven't connected yet, but I've got a pretty good idea of who you all are. This is Starkweather and your son Jordan, right?
That's right, Mr.
David, call me Mike.
What Miss Van Zandt just said, I assume you must be some sort of investigator.
You got it, pal? Private time.
I see.
Who is this nice young man, dear?
He's a detective, Mother.
A detective? How exciting! Do you know Jessica Fletcher?
No, man, he is way out of my league. I do know who you two ladies must be, though.
If you're a private investigator, I'd be surprised if you didn't.
That accent settles it. You're Paula Thompson.
You're 100% correct. I can't deny I'm from the Deep South.
If you came from any deeper south, you'd live in Central America.
So that leaves you to be Kathy Collins? Nice to finally meet you in person.
Me too, Mike. Mike and I have corresponded for some time by mail and fax on Mr. Starkweather. Yeah.
Is this seat taken? No? I'll park it here. And I expect you to remain unobtrusive.
Well, I sure will. As soon as I find a dictionary and look it up.
Just sit over there by the fire and keep it quiet.
By the fire? Glad to. My bagside's still kind of soggy.
Keep an eye on him.
I shall do my best.
His law is in readiness, Miss Van Zandt. I shall inform Mr. Starkweather.
Yes, thank you, Bensonhurst.
There's coffee if anybody else wants some.
I can use some, Minerva.
How do you take it?
In a cup.
Keep still.
Miss Van Zandt, I understand Gretel Simon has asked us here to talk to us about his will. That is correct. Frankly, I did not think it was a good idea. Mr. Starkweather's health is precarious at best, and he does not need the excitement. I advised him to communicate with you all by mail, but he insisted on summoning you to Starkweather Mansion. I only hope he doesn't live to regret that decision.
Miss Withers is bringing Mr. Starkweather to join us.
Can I move now?
Here you are, Mr. Starkweather.
No!
I'll be right here if you need me.
Think I was once surrounded by presidents and kings. Has my world really shrunk to this? A handful of relatives and a meager staff of hired help? Simon, where's my grandson?
We presume he's on his way, Mr. Starkweather.
I can't wait for him. Not enough time anymore.
Good evening, Critical Simon. You're looking, well,
Are you blind, boy, or just a habitual liar?
I was only making pleasantry, Uncle.
Save it. You've always been a smooth talker, Jordan, but that doesn't cut any ice with me. You're nothing but a greedy opportunist, boy. I ought to know. I was one myself at your age.
Then I guess it runs in the family.
I suppose you have a point. Well, Fiona, you look the same.
I do? Thank you, Uncle Simon.
It wasn't necessarily meant as a compliment.
Uncle Simon, you're awful.
At my age and with my money, I can afford to say exactly what I think, and I do. How is my little Georgia Peach?
Little old me. I'm just peachy, Uncle.
I made Bart. Would you come for some coffee, Mr. Starkweather?
He mustn't have any. The caffeine would keep him awake and it could affect his blood pressure. Sometimes his medications cause it to run a little hot.
Apparently, I won't be having any Minerva. You heard my keeper.
Yes, sir.
Everyone aspires to live to a ripe old age. And for what? To be kept alive by medicines and machines. To be prevented from enjoying so much of life's little pleasures. Like a cup of coffee.
You mustn't excite yourself, Mr. Starkweather.
You see, I'm not even allowed to feel any strong emotions anymore.
That's a bummer.
Ah, you put it very succinctly, Rufus. Old age is a bummer. I could have searched my vocabulary extensively and never come up with such an apt description. Bummer.
Glad you like it.
According to my doctors, I won't have to remain in this weak, fragile old body much longer. There's only one thing I hate to leave behind. My money.
You know what they say, Uncle. You can't take it with you.
Yes, that's what they say. So several years ago, I had Lois here draw up my will. I suppose you'd like to hear how I provided for you, my heirs.
I, for one, admit I'm just a teensy bit curious.
A teensy bit, eh?
I knew something like this would happen. Dear Mr. Starkweather, breathe deeply. See what you've done?
Me? I
Should somebody call an ambulance?
We can't. The phones are dead.
It's all right. He lost his breath. He just needs to breathe pure oxygen for a few moments.
Tell them.
didn't. Very well. This is the will Mr. Starkweather was referring to. As you know, he's been a phenomenally successful businessman for many years.
I'll say. He's been on the cover of Forbes magazine at least a dozen times.
Well, I never read it.
He has the distinction of becoming one of the world's first billionaires.
20 years ago, I begged dear Ezra to ask his uncle to advise him on his business investments. But he was too proud.
Yeah. Dad had his pride. Lots of pride. Very little money.
If I may continue, Mr. Starkweather's fortune is now in the neighborhood of $50 billion.
Well, if I'd known that, I'd have asked for a raise.
I won't go into the details of the will, but it essentially bequeaths to $1 million to each of his household staff. Mr. Bensonhurst, his butler, Mr. Trent, his housekeeper, Minerva Walker, his cook, Miss Withers, his nurse, Nancy Pollard, his maid, and Rufus Jones, his handyman.
Well, forget the raise.
Oh, Mr. Starkweather, I had no idea. The will goes on to state that the rest of the money shall be divided up equally among his surviving relatives. This includes his grandson, Simon III, his niece, Fiona Starkweather, and her son, Jordan, who will share 1/3, and his great-niece, Paula Thompson.
Isn't that nice?
I knew you'd do right by us, Uncle.
I know you got mad when Mama married a Southern boy, Grandpa Simon, but you two must have agreed on one thing. Blood is thicker than water.
Well, I'll bet you Miss Withers can tell you if it is.
Now that I've informed you of the contents of the will, there's another announcement I have to make. As of tomorrow, this will becomes invalid.
Wait.
Well, What does invalid mean?
It means no good.
I got a brother that's invalid.
Miss Van Zandt means we're not here to get the money. You fool.
Oh, guess I won't be buying that big screen TV I was thinking about after all.
Sit. You too, Lois.
Why did you decide to disinherit us, Uncle?
Found a better use for my money, that's why. Oh, don't worry. I didn't cut you all out entirely. All of you in the old will get $50,000 each.
50,000 out of 50 billion?
Lois advised me it'd be a good idea to leave you all with a little something. That way you'd be less likely to be able to contest my new will.
You will.
Yes, that's why I asked Kathy to stay this weekend at Starkweather Mansion to type it up nice and legal for my signature. Mr. Davis, as a disinterested party, can witness the signing. Lois will file it at the courthouse come Monday.
Mr. Davis says he's a detective. What did you hire him to do?
Mr. Starkweather hired me to conduct an investigation on the quiet. For the last 6 months, I've flown to a dozen or more foreign countries, checking out some of the world's most brilliant scientists. Some well-known, some like to keep their experiments on the hush-hush. I succeeded in finding one in Belgium. Let's call him Dr. X, who agreed to help Mr. Starkweather do what he desires, which is to clone himself.
Clone? That's insane.
What nonsense! You must be kidding!
It's immoral.
I don't understand!
Good. Glad I'm not the only one.
Those blood and skin samples you had me prepare. The ones you said would be examined by specialists.
They were sent to specialist Withers, specialist in DNA.
I thought you were trying to find a cure.
I was not a cure for my various ailments, but a cure for dying. And I did find it.
Cloning.
Precisely. Through modern science, I shall live forever.
But it's not right.
That's neither here nor there. Let the moralists and politicians debate that question for decades to come. In the meantime, Dr. X, as Davis named him, will be creating a brand new me. Sit down, Withers! A lot of you seem to be displeased. Not, I suspect, because of a moral question, but because of your change in fortune. Too bad. Cloning is very expensive, especially since the process I require must be done in absolute secrecy. But I will still have a sizable fortune for the new me to inherit. No doubt, I will be the first person on Earth to become my own heir. Withers, my blood pressure.
Yes, Mr. Starkweather. If you'll excuse us, I need to take Mr. Starkweather's blood pressure.
How do you take it right here?
His arms are too frail for me to get a reading from them. This is an outsized cup, made to fit around a patient's thigh. He can stand the pressure from the inflated cup better there. Mr. Starkweather has had enough excitement for one evening. I shall put him to bed.
I guess this concludes our meeting, unless anyone has any other questions.
I do. What the heck was that all about?
It's simple, Rufus. Frank Simon was going to win all the fortune. You said he decided to clone himself.
And what does clone mean?
It means to take some cells from a person's body and create a duplicate of the original.
They can do that? Oh, that's great. Well, maybe when the old Mr. Starkweather passes away, well, Doc can get a job working for the new Mr. Starkweather.
The new Mr. Starkweather will have to be born and grow up. It goes against the laws of nature. How?
Once Dr. X has created the new life, Cells will be implanted into a host mother who will carry the child to term.
Host mother? Who?
Me.
Why not? I'm young and healthy. I'll make a good mother for little Simon.
How could you consider being a part of this travesty?
I'll be well compensated. Besides, have you ever known anyone else to give birth to a baby billionaire?
Uncle Simon is giving his money to a baby?
In a manner of speaking, yes. Mr. Starkweather's fortune will be placed into a trust fund, which I'll administer. I'll release the money to pay Dr. X and his staff to perform the cloning procedure. After that, ample funds will be available for Kathy's needs and the child's upbringing and education. Once he's trained to deal in high finance, the money will be turned over to him.
The kid will look, think, and act like Simon Starkweather. He could conceivably parlay those billions into trillions by the time he's an old man.
But for what purpose? To leave it to another clone, then another and another. When will it end? Won't there be a Simon Starkweather with enough power and money to rule the world?
We didn't discuss it, but you might as well be right.
And I can't believe you condone to such madness.
Oh, I can see why she would. Miss Van Zant and the Collins girl will live like billionaires themselves off of Mr. Starkweather's money. Money that should have gone to us. And his family. And I guess you'll get rich too, since you're a part of this scheme.
Not me. I did the job I was paid to do. My part's finished. I'll take my very generous check and go home. Frankly, I don't care if the boss's science fiction experiment works or not.
You should be ashamed. You all should be ashamed.
I believe you've made your feelings quite clear. If you and the other servants will join me, I wish to speak to all of you in the kitchen. We'll clear once we've finished. I trust you'll bring if you require anything else.
Well, it might be kind of nice hearing the pitter-patter of little feet around the house.
Oh, shut up, Rufus!
Kathy and I will retire to my room. You might as well start typing up the new bill tonight. I'll show you how to put it in proper legal terms.
Sure, Lois. The sooner it's finished and signed, the better.
Hey, wait a minute! How come nobody asked me if I wanted to carry the baby? I can do as well as she can.
You're Mr. Starkweather's bloodkin, Paula. It would be improper.
I guess it would be kind of tacky.
Proper? You're conducting an experiment that makes Frankenstein look like an amateur. And you're worried about being proper?
Cool it, kid, before he bursts the blood vessel. Mr. Starkweather's made up his mind, and I get the feeling whatever the old man wants, he gets.
Succinctly put, Mr. Davis. Kathy?
I'll go upstairs to my room and back. Once I've witnessed the signing of the new will tomorrow, I won't have any reason to hang around. Night.
We were robbed!
We were?
Yes, Mother. Medical Simon tangled a fortune in front of our noses and snatched it away!
That was mean.
Mean? That man's a monster. See the glint in his eyes. He and Juliet won the rug right up from under our feet!
At least he is leaving us 50,000.
To him, that's no more than tossing a dime to a beggar. He's just doing it to keep us from breaking his new will. You heard him. I wish you were dead. I wish you'll go and drop that tonight!
It would serve him right.
If Uncle Simon were to die tonight, then we'd all get our money. Wouldn't we, my dears?
Would anyone care for a game of bridge?
Penny for your thoughts? That's all I can afford to pay. Now.
Mr. Starkweather.
It's Jordan, remember? At least Minerva, the crazy dragon lady, isn't around.
I thought everyone had gone to bed.
I was gonna turn in, and then I got the urge for a midnight snack.
I'll fix you something.
Never mind that. What are you doing up?
Mr. Trent sent me in here to make sure the fire screen was properly closed so no sparks pop out onto the rug.
And burn Starkweather Mansion to the ground. Maybe that wasn't such a bad idea.
You shouldn't talk like that. You know Mr. Starkweather is an invalid. How could he—
You read my mind.
Jordan!
Ooh, got you called by my first name.
You mustn't even suggest such a thing. It's wicked.
Why should that surprise you? Everyone knows in the Black Sheep family. If it were to happen tonight, you would have $1 million and I'd have millions. Think of all the good times we can have together.
Don't!
It's a tempting knot, admit it.
It's not. It's a horrible idea.
Which part? In the money, or you and me together?
The part about the money.
What about us?
Nancy! I thought you were going to help me with the dishes.
I'm just checking the French doors, Minerva, to make sure they're locked.
I see. And what are you doing in here?
I just came down for a little snack. When I saw Nancy, I stopped for a little chat.
That appetite of yours is going to get you in trouble one of these days.
Minerva, what are you doing with that knife?
Mincing onions?
At midnight?
I can't stand to have anyone see me cry. I thought I heard someone in here, so I came in to check. If you're hungry, come with me. I'll find you something.
Yes, Minerva. Anything you say, Minerva.
Finish checking, then come give me a hand.
Yes, ma'am.
Come on!
Rufus! I thought I heard someone come in.
It's just me.
So I see. Good grief, man, what are you doing with that axe?
It's like this. Remember chopping wood for the fire this afternoon. Fast or it started raining, but I didn't put the axe back in the shed. Well, I forgot. I've been disremembering a lot of things lately. When it came to me where I left it, well, I figured I'd better bring it inside and dry it off good, well, so it don't rust.
That's fine, but why bring it into the living room? Besides, how many times do I have to tell you to use the back door?
Well, as many as you want, I ain't counting.
I swear, Rufus, you'll be deaf in the end. Go on into the kitchen and have Mr. Trent give you a towel.
Oh, well, I ain't wet. It quit raining.
I know that. To dry the axe.
Oh, right.
The back door. If that man had a brain, he'd be dangerous.
Well, I heard that.
Any for your thoughts?
Jordan, I just came down for a breath of fresh air. What are you doing up this late?
Munchies. Want cookie?
No thanks.
Have you and Miss Van Zandt finished that new will yet?
Yes, it's all ready except for Mr. Starkweather's signature. I see you've calmed down. I wouldn't blame you if you hated me.
Hate you? Why should I hate you? I make the same deal if I was in your shoes.
I'm sure you would, Jordan.
You know, Minerva was right. Being the mother of little Simon would be the next best thing to owning the buildings yourself. You're forgetting something though.
What?
How it's hype when you dad. Someone to guide him and mold him the perfect replica of Great Simon. A heartless, money-making machine.
You think so?
I know so. Who will make a better father figure than I? You're a very attractive woman, Captain. We can mix businesses with pleasure.
Take your crummy hands off me!
What?
You're getting cookie crumbs on my blouse. And by the way, forget it. If I decide little Simon needs a father after he's born, I'll pick a suitable husband then. I don't know who it'll be, but it won't be a sleazy, money-hungry slyball like you, Jordan.
I'd kill you, wait!
I would have tried if I were you, not with a detective in the house.
Aren't you finishing here yet?
I need to make everything all right.
Well, hurry up, girl. Minerva wants you in the kitchen.
Yes, sir.
And don't dawdle. Someone left the French doors open. I guess I'll close them then. Wait, Miss Thompson?
Mr. Trent, you gave me a fright.
I suppose I should be grateful you didn't shoot me. What on earth are you doing roaming the house in the middle of the night with a gun in your hand?
Oh, don't worry. I know how to handle a gun. I couldn't sleep, so I thought I'd clean it. I was gonna look in the kitchen for some oil.
I doubt you'll find what you need in there unless you plan to rub it with Crisco. Do you often carry that thing around with you?
I take it everywhere I go. Daddy taught me how to be a crack shot when I was 10. A girl can't be too careful.
Well, I don't think you'll have anything to worry about at Starkweather Mansion. It's miles from the nearest town. No one ever comes out this way.
You've never had a burglary or a prowler?
No.
You know, since Grandpa Simon is so sick and all, it's a wonder nobody's trying to steal something. With his bedroom being on the ground floor, anybody could just walk in those French doors and go into his room and do who knows what.
Like shoot him?
Well, it could happen. As terrible as that thought is, in his condition, how could he defend himself?
He could sit Nurse Withers on them. I suppose that should frighten away any intruders.
You're just awful. But you know what? I wouldn't want to tangle with the woman. Where does she sleep?
In the room beyond Mr. Starkweather so she can hear if he rings for her at night.
Let's see. If I remember correctly, when Mama brought me here once when I was a little girl, that room used to be a library and the one beyond it was a parlor. Am I right?
That's correct. When Mr. Starkweather became too ill to go up and down the stairs, the library was converted to his bedroom and Withers took the parlor.
So they're the only ones who sleep downstairs.
Yes, the service quarters are in the attic, under the eaves. We also have our own staircase from the kitchen. Why do you ask?
Oh, just curious. Excuse me a minute. I thought that little section of dialogue was kind of awkward and suggested to Mr. St. John that he cut it, but he felt you needed to get an idea of the layout of the house. He said, "What do you want me to do? Put a blueprint of Starkweather Mansion in the program?" Which I thought was kind of rude. He insisted I leave the dialogue in, so I did, but it's a bad piece of writing and I want you to know I tried to correct it. Sorry for the interruption. Continue.
Okay. I want you to know if you do that again, you're gonna have to bring that script to come on this stage and play Mr. Trent yourself. Got it?
Sorry. That was great. I wish I had your nerve. Where are we?
Oh, yeah, so you're curious about the house, are you?
Yeah, I was just curious.
Well, you know what they say, curiosity killed the cat.
Yes. Well, you'll excuse me.
Wouldn't it be so ironic if someone did break in tonight, of all nights, and
Mrs. Starkweather!
You nearly frightened me to death!
My apologies. Might I ask what kind of pills you've just strewn about the room?
Digitalis. For my heart. I have a heart condition. Maybe I should take two.
Digitalis. Doesn't that speed up one's heart rate?
Oh, yes. My little heart is just pumping away.
Perhaps the single dosage will be sufficient. I assume an overdose could be fatal?
Extremely fatal. Or am I being redundant? I suppose fatal is fatal, just like dead is dead. Don't you agree?
Completely. One cannot be deader than someone else. Dead longer, perhaps, but that is the only comparison of the word that comes to mind. Might I inquire why you brought the medication into the living room?
Why? That is a very good question. Why did I bring them in here? Oh, I remember. I was going to show them to Miss Withers and see if she could give me any free samples. You know, with her medical connections and all.
But it looks as if your bottle was full already.
It was, but it never hurts to plan ahead. I'd better pick them up.
Allow me to assist you.
Bensonhurst, can I ask you something?
Be my guest.
Why are you carrying a wrench?
A wrench. Well, you see, I happen to remember Miss Withers mentioned that she thought the valve on the gas heater in Mr. Starkweather's room was a little loose. I thought I might give it a turn or two.
How mechanical of you. We wouldn't want any of that gas to escape into his room, now would we?
Naturally not. But first things first, shall we?
Oh, I feel like a pigeon pecking popcorn.
You missed one there,
Where?
beside your left kneecap. Left kneecap?
Got it. Oh, they just rolled everywhere.
Round objects tend to do that, madam.
Oh, Mrs. Starkweather. What are you doing on the floor with Bensonhurst?
Picking up spilled pills. Dropped my digitalis. Please watch where you put your feet, my dear. Both of them.
I assume Mr. Starkweather has required an injection. Is there a problem?
Nothing I can't handle. His lungs seemed to be somewhat congested, so I took him from his bed and sat him in his wheelchair. He can breathe easier in an upright position. Then I gave him an injection of steroids to help open his bronchial passages.
My. Where would Uncle Simon be without you?
Dead. Without my help, his heart would have stopped beating long ago.
That reminds me. Wasn't there something I wanted to ask Miss Withers, madam?
What's there?
The digitalis?
Oh, that's right. Miss Withers, I was wondering if you had any spare manufacturer samples of digitalis you didn't need. I have a heart condition and I like to keep a supply handy.
I can see why you would. Yours tend to run out, don't they? I'm sorry, Mrs. Starkweather, but I'm fresh out of spare drugs. Your uncle requires every pill he's got to keep him going.
Oh, well, then we had better gather up all of mine. Oh, would you help us, my dear?
I suppose.
Is this a private game or can anybody play?
Mr. Davis, we're picking up spilled pills.
Is that it? I thought you were holding a tiny little marble tournament. I'll pass.
Here, Mrs. Starkweather, let me give these to you. I really must return to my duties.
And here are mine.
Oh, thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart.
If you'll excuse me.
Miss Withers, how's the boss?
Bossy. He sent me for a pitcher of fresh drinking water. If I'm not back in a minute, he'll start ringing that handbell. See what I mean? I'll be right there, Mr. Starkweather.
I gather he rings for you a lot?
Incessantly. When he stops ringing that bell, I'll know he's kicked the bucket. Excuse me.
Spoken like a true member of the medical profession. What's with the wrench, Bensonhurst? Got a problem I can give you a hand with?
Thank you, sir, but no, it will wait. I too shall excuse myself.
Well,
You're a kind of lady, Mrs. Starkweather.
I couldn't sleep. What about you, Mr. Davis?
Oh, I'm a real night owl. Besides, I was hoping young Simon would arrive. I haven't met him yet.
Oh, Simon's a sweet boy. Oh, I do hope he's all right. I mean, with the storm and all.
He might have pulled off the road to let it pass. Clouding over again. We could be in for another deluge.
Oh, dear. I hope not. I believe I'll go back up to my room. Lie down.
Good night again, Mrs. Starkweather.
Good night.
I'm coming, Mr. Starkweather. Oh, you're still here.
Yeah, just keeping an eye on things.
I see. Well, my patient.
You're up too, Mr. Davis.
Yeah, and I'm not the only one. There seems to be more traffic passing through Starkweather Mansion at midnight than the interstate at rush hour.
I know what you mean. I've been hearing footsteps go past my bedroom door all evening. I'm not surprised, though. We could have assumed Mr. Starkweather's announcement would give all of his heirs a sleepless night or two.
Between us, Miss Van Zandt, this cloning business, how do you feel about it?
I'm a lawyer, Mr. Davis. I'm paid to think, not feel. Can Mr. Starkweather be cloned? Definitely. There's no doubt the technology exists. Should he be cloned? Let's just say I wouldn't want to be first to test nature by creating another Lois Van Zandt.
Me too. I'm a simple guy. I've got enough to deal with in one lifetime. The sooner we can get this new will signed and I can get back to the real world, the better.
The new will is finished. Mr. Starkweather can sign it first thing in the morning.
The old boy's still awake. His nurse was in here a minute ago and I heard him ringing his bell for her.
Then there's no reason why he can't sign it now.
That's what I'm thinking. The people in this house are content as a bunch of long-tailed cats in a room full of rocking chairs. I know I'll feel better once the boss's plan is a done deal.
I'll go grab the will. Why don't you let Mr. Starkweather know? What in the world?
Circuit breaker must have tripped.
But the storm passed hours ago.
I know. I don't like this. I don't like this at all. I'll find Bensonhurst and have him show me where the main breaker is.
I'll let Mr. Starkweather know we're taking care of it.
So is this great?
It's all right, Mr. Starkweather. Mr. Starkweather?
Hello? Is anyone in here? Mr. Trent? Bensonhurst? Anybody?
Kathy, I think there's something wrong with Mr. Starkweather. I don't know where that nurse is.
Oh no, sign the will yet, has he?
Perhaps he just fainted. We need light. Mr. Davis is trying to...
Starkweather! What happened? Someone struck me. It's Mr. Starkweather. Help him!
What's going on today?
Iris Free, what was that?
He's dead. Someone put the blood pressure pump around his neck and pumped the pressure up to the maximum. 300 millimeters of mercury. Mr. Starkweather's been strangled to death.
Poor Mr. Starkweather. Who could have done such a thing?
Oh, give me a break. I'd say you and nearly everyone else in this room are right up there on the top 10 list. Whoa, sit down. Let me check the body.
Those drops on his robe. Is it blood?
I'm not sure.
What else could it be?
I'll handle it. I'm the detective, remember? Miss Withers, what can you tell us?
After I got Mr. Starkweather his pitcher of water, made sure he was breathing all right, I went to my room and laid down across my bed. A few minutes later, the lights went out.
Well, I noticed that too.
Hush! Mr. Starkweather started ringing his bell. I was lighting a candle when someone struck me with a heavy object. I must have blacked out. When I came to, the lights were on and
Yeah, we can take it from there.
Well, you seem to be in charge, Mr. Davis. What do we do now?
We keep trying the phone so we can get through to the cops. If the lines aren't up by morning, someone will have to drive to town and report there's been a murder at Starkweather Mansion.
You know, or maybe the old man did himself there.
He can't see.
Or maybe not. Mr. Simon, you made it. And boy, do we have a surprise for you.